Jesus told his disciples this parable. A man going on a journey called in his servants and entrusted his possessions to them. To one, he gave 5 talents, to another, 2, and to a third, 1, each according to his ability. Then he went away. Immediately, the one who had received 5 talents went out and traded them and made another 5. Likewise, the one who had received 2 made another 2. But the man who received 1 went off and dug a hole in the ground and buried his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants came back and settled accounts with them. The one who had received 5 talents came forward, bringing the additional 5. He said, "Master, you gave me 5 talents. See, I have made 5 more." His master said to him, "Well done, good and faithful servant. Since you were faithful in small matters, I will give you greater responsibilities. Come, share your master's joy." Then the one who had received 2 talents also came forward and said, "Master, you have given me 2 talents. See, I have made 2 more." The master said to him, "Well done, good and faithful servant. Since you were faithful in small matters, I will give you greater responsibility. Come, share your master's joy." Then the one who had received the 1 talent came forward and said, "Master, I knew you were a demanding person, harvesting where you did not plant and gathering where you did not scatter. So out of fear, I went off and buried your talents in the ground. Here it is back." The master said to him in reply, "You wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I did not plant and gather where I did not scatter. Should you not then have put my money in the bank so that I could have gotten it back with interest on my return? Now then, take the talent from him and give it to the one who has 10. To everyone who has, more will be given, and he will grow rich. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And throw this useless servant into the darkness outside, where there will be wailing and grinding of teeth." Hello and welcome. I'm Father Bayer, your host. We want to welcome you to Closer Walk Catholic Communications. Glad that you can join us. The parable of the talents. Are we talking about capitalism here? Are we talking about service? What are we talking about? A while back, one of the television stations had a special story on Surfer Dude, is what they called him. This kid somewhere has lived on the beach in California, had the Bob Marley hair going on, tattoos all up and down. And he lived on the beach on government supplements, and they showed him in a store buying lobster and buying steak and buying all sorts of stuff, and then spend the rest of his evening playing his guitar and just chilling out, dude. And the person interviewing him said, "Well, don't you feel any responsibility?" He said, "Dude, if they're going to give it to me, I'm going to enjoy it." Interesting concept. Interesting concept. And it is a mentality that's oftentimes shared. I've shared with you a number of times that I had the pleasure and the opportunity, 7 different summers, to be in Calcutta and work with Mother Teresa. And one of the first things Mother told me after she realized that I was going to be there for more than a day, She said, Father, she said, do me a favor. Please do not give people money on the streets when they beg. Please don't do that. We have 17 institutions. People can sleep, people can eat, people can get what they need. Please never, ever encourage people to beg for a living. Really? That comes from Mother Teresa? The one whose life was dedicated to the poorest of the poor and the people who no one else wanted in society? She said, please don't give to people who beg. She said, giving people stuff takes away their dignity. Helping people to get stuff gives them dignity. And so I've done that. I've done that not only in Calcutta, I do that in my parish. I had 3 older people that I was taking care of, and they were all unmarried, 2 sisters and a brother, and I was the only son they never had. And so for years I went there to take care of them, and I'm pulling up to their house, and I see this man walking down the street, and of course, when he sees the collar, he comes up and he said, could you help me? And I said, what's up? He said, my baby's sick, and I've got a prescription. My baby needs medicine. My baby needs milk, and it costs $25 and everything like that. And he said, and I can't afford it. I said, okay, wait right here. Well, they were old, and they had 2 vehicles under their garage that probably hadn't been driven in months, and they were just kind of caked with dust. So I went inside, and I came out, and I had a bucket and some soap and a rag, and the hose pipe was right there under the carport. And I said, great. I said, look, do me a favor, wash these 2 cars for me, and I'll go get milk and have your baby's prescription filled and give you everything you need for your baby. 2 cars caked with dust. Half an hour max. I ain't doing that. And I said, well, then good. Your baby's not that sick or not that thirsty for milk. If you can't take a half an hour and do something, you don't need the money that bad. Am I cruel? Am I cold? Am I heartless? Or am I helping to live out what Mother Teresa truly believed? When you take away someone's dignity, you're not doing them any favors. And so I do that now. People come and they need a light bill paid, and they need groceries, they need this. Okay, we need the gym floor mopped, or we need this done, or we need that done. And you know what? The people who really need, they respond. The people who just want to beg, they don't respond. How do you deal with someone standing in the middle of a busy intersection with 3 lanes going this way and 3 lanes that way and 3 coming this way, or standing there saying, well, work for food? What are you going to do, change my oil while the light's red? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? How do you help them? Well, I happened to be in a parish for a while that had Mother Teresa's sisters, and a block away at the light, hungry, vet, please give food. I'd stop and say, if you want, I'll bring you over to the soup kitchen and we'll make sure you have plenty to eat. They don't want that. And some do. And so, first of all, what are you doing taking the one talent that you have and just digging a hole and burying it and doing nothing and thinking that you can trade on so-called Christian charity and you live your life doing nothing, professionally being a beggar? I go to Rome every year, and outside of St. Peter's, little area in front of the CDF, there's this one guy who's always there. He's been there for the last 25 years, because I've seen him for the last 25 years. He comes up, Excuse me, do you speak English? I am an Albanian refugee and I am hungry. Can you please help me get some food? I cannot go back to my country. The local television did a story on him. This guy makes 200,000 euros a year. Because of course he's got a new audience every day outside St. Peter's. $200,000 a year, and he's got a really nice flat in Rome. He's been doing it for 25 years. And I get mad at people like that. Why do I get mad? Because I get great joy out of helping somebody. I really do. If I feel like I've done something to help somebody to make their life a little bit better, that's great satisfaction. I don't need thanks or anything. I just need to know that they've taken it and they've done something with it and they've learned to walk by themselves. I love that. When people take advantage of that, I get angry. Because then I, like perhaps yourself and many other people, we get very jaded. We don't mind helping, but we really hate to taken advantage of. And for me, that's a pride issue. It really is. I get very proud when I get snookered, okay? When I realize they got me, and I had someone at the door of the church, and this was years ago when I was back at that same parish, had Mother Teresa's nuns, and I really kind of fell for it, and I'd never done it. Took $100 out of my pocket. Here, man, you need it. Go get it. They left. A couple hours later, I take off. I'm going down the street, and here's a brown bag, okay? He's standing there. Can I tell you I wanted to stop my car, grab that brown bag, and smash it on the concrete? I was so furious. Not that he had a drink. Let him do whatever he wants. He's a big boy. But he had robbed me of the joy that I felt I wanted to give and helping someone less fortunate. And among those who kind of take for granted that somebody else, I'm going to bury my talent. You're going to keep feeding me, and you're going to keep clothing me, and you're going to keep giving to me, and I don't have to do anything but turn up with a pair of Cocker Spaniel eyes and make myself look really pathetic. It bothers me. And so there are a number of questions we ask. And that is an accountability to God. Look, the fact that my pride gets hurt, the fact that I feel like I've been taken advantage of, who cares? In the scheme of things, it means absolutely nothing. But the real question is, and what the real question becomes is an accountability to God. When the one that he gives one talent to buries it, you wicked, lazy servant, you've done nothing. I was generous to you. You've done nothing. And so the question becomes, in your life, in my life, and in the life of every baptized believer, what have we done with what God has given us? And what do we owe back to God because of the gifts and talents that have been bestowed upon us? It's a real question we have to answer. We'll explore it in the next segment. Stay with us. Thank you for joining us here at Closer Walk Catholic Communications. More than ever, we feel that there's a great need to offer an alternative voice to mainstream media. Oftentimes, the voices that we hear and the lessons that we learn in the morals of the story are immoral at best. The need for us to offer the gospel message with great clarity and great charity is greater than ever in today's society. So we thank you. We thank you for all the support you give us here. First of all, we need your prayerful support, because without the gift of prayer, we do nothing. Without the gift of the Holy Spirit and God's grace, we do nothing. Secondly, we're donor driven. We need your support. We need your prayerful support. We need your financial support. Everything that you do for us, all money goes towards spreading the gospel message. Thank you for all that you do, and God bless you and keep you always. For everyone who has, more will be given, and he will grow rich. But for the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. Hello and welcome back to Closer Walk Catholic Communications. I'm Father Bayer, your host, and we're glad that you can join us. You ever heard that? All people are created equal. You believe that? I do. But only in the sight of God. Not in the sight of this world. But only in the sight of God are we all equal. We're all precious. We're all made in the image and likeness of God. We're all children of God. When it comes to this world and the talents, we're not all equal. And never will be. And not intended to be. You're not expected to be able to, because you're Catholic and believe, get up here and do what I do. And because I believe, I'm not expected to ever sing a solo in church, thanks be to God. You really don't want to hear that. And God has given each one of us gifts and talents. We're equal in the sight of God, but we're not equal in the sight of ability. Let me tell you something. I never got science. I got 20 years of education. I studied long enough to be a doctor. Don't give me a scalpel and let me get close to your head, please. It's not what I'm supposed to be. It's not the gift. It's not the ability that God has given me. But God has given each one of us different gifts, different abilities, and different talents. And for that, I'm answerable to God. For me. Not for your talent, whether or not you were, a great carpenter, a great plumber, a great physicist. I don't answer for that. I'm called to take what God has given me and use it where God has placed me. And so are you. And that's the point. That so many people think, well, because I can't do this and because I can't do that and because I'm not good at this and I'm not good at that, I have nothing to give. We all do. We all do. And I use a perfect example is the ladies in my parish who we call the Ladies' Altar Society, who are absolutely wonderful in making the place look so beautiful. And they take great time and great attention, and they do the linens and they do this and they do the candles and they do the setup and they do the decorating and all this stuff, and they do a magnificent job. And my men's club, who make sure that when the kneelers are broken, they're fixed, and that the doors are straight and they don't squeak, and that, that the lights are changed and everything else like that. That's service. See, the parable of the 5 and the 2, and consequently the 1 who went bust, is, even the Lord recognizes this one is capable of 5, this one's capable of 2, this one's only capable of 1. And for the one who says, I don't have what the 5 and I don't have what the 2 have, and I'm not as good as they are, so I don't have to do anything, they're the ones that when you take what God has given you and you refuse to give it because you just don't think you're good enough. And we've developed a mentality of only certain gifts are good enough. Well, when I was out in the country and on the bayou, we used to have what we called a funeral choir. Now, most funerals are weekdays, 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. And a lot of our regular choir members were at work. They can't take off work and go to anybody and everybody's funeral. They're just not able to do that. And so we had a group of elderly people whose schedules were very flexible, who were our funeral choir. We had one lady, God bless her, and she was full of faith, and she sang from her toes to the top of her head, and she sounded like fingernails on a blackboard. She was so bad. I mean, she was hard of hearing first, okay? And so she really couldn't hear to keep up with the rest of the choir. So she was always either 2 words ahead or 2 words behind. And screech! I can't even do it. It was screech. And it really was funny. Remember Russo, every time she was the only one anybody ever heard because she was so unique and her voice really was bad. And walking in one day, and I had a little altar server with me, and we go to the front, and she's just singing, and we genuflected at the foot of the altar, and I turned to the little boy and I said, "He's really dead." He went, "Huh?" I said, "He's really dead." He said, "Huh?" I said, "Baby, if that woman's voice didn't wake him up, that man's dead, okay?" And he laughed. But let me tell you something. You know, I mean, in the sight of God, her voice was the voice of angels. She couldn't sing worth a darn, but she gave what she had to God. And when I'm telling you, when this lady sang, she sang from the bottom of her heart. And it was terrible, but it was absolutely beautiful in the sight of God because she takes what she has and she gives it back to God. And that's the first thing that I think for those of you who feel like, I need to get involved. I don't do anything. I'm not involved in my parish. I just go, and I need to get involved. I'm here to tell you, whatever you have to give is good enough for God. It absolutely is. It's good enough for God. And when you do it with sincerity, but we all have that responsibility. We all have that responsibility in our life to feel the need to take the talents that God has given us and to find a way to serve Him. And I've told you this story before, but this is a story that comes to mind for me when I read this gospel. And I've told it. I'm priest 35 years. This happened 36 years ago when I was a deacon in the parish, and a lady called and she said, "I just retired." She said, "When my husband walked out on me 40 years ago," she said, "I raised my 4 kids working in my beauty shop. And that's how I raised my 4 kids." And she said, the kids are gone and I've got enough to retire and I'd like to get involved in the parish." And she said, "I love kids and I'd love to teach, but I'm afraid I hadn't kept up with my religion and I might tell them something that's wrong." And she said, "I can't sing and I could never get up there and read in front of everybody. I'd be a nervous wreck." But she said, "I know we have a lot of old people in this parish." And she said, "I know when I'm feeling bad and sick, nothing makes me feel better than having my hair done. And I'm wondering if I could go to the homes of the homebound and shut in and do their hair, and that would be my contribution to the parish." How incredible is that? That's a talent she had. She did hair. And she found a way to serve God by doing hair. That was taking the 5 talents and making it 10. And that's what we need to look at. Someone has come up to me and said, "I love working in my flower beds. I just love that. I love making things beautiful. And the flower beds here look terrible. Do you mind if I come work in the flower beds?" "Oh, please. Oh, please." That's a wonderful gift to the parish. You did the flower beds, You did the altar linens. You cleaned the pews. You straightened up the books. You did something, but you felt like God had given you something And you had a responsibility and a need to serve God with the gifts and the talents that you've been given. And I've seen wonderful examples of this over the years. Guy was a DJ all of his life, and he retired. What does he do? Now he goes to the nursing home. And every Saturday morning they have a little social. And the residents can dance, and he does all the big band music, and he does all the different things that they like. And, and he plays with them, and he's serving God. Okay? He was a DJ. Maybe he's not supposed to get up and read at the pulpit. Maybe he's not supposed to sing. Take what you have and find a way to give it to God. But the problem is our notion of equality. We think that some are more equal because they're more important. They're richer. They're more notorious. They're well known. They're this, they're that, they're the other thing. Everybody can't be a quarterback. Somebody's got to block. Somebody's got to bring water to them during break time, okay? And somebody's got to put a bandage on their boo-boo. Everybody makes it happen. Everybody makes it happen in the parish. The question is do you feel a need to give back to God? Do you look at your life and say, God has been very good, and I've been able to accomplish many things that I never thought I could accomplish. I've been given gifts that I never thought I would have. And now I need to give back to God. I need to serve God. It's that fundamental part of our response to God, and that fundamental part is gratitude. I know what God has done for me, and I need to give him praise, and I need to give him thanks, and I need to find a way to serve him. And there's so many different ways to serve God, but I need to be willing to search for ways to serve God and take the talents that I've been given and realize I can do something. I can make the people of God a little bit happier, a little bit better off, a little bit more enriched, a little bit better because I feel a need to give back. Maybe it's only one talent that I have, but I got news for you. If that talent's cleaning flower beds and you make the church look good, God bless you. We need that as much as we need someone who sings the solo, as much as we need someone who reads, as much as we need someone who does anything, we need to. That's the question. Do you realize that what you've been given, you're called to return to the Father? Or do you think it's all about me and me just making money so that I can have a fun life, a good life, or whatever kind of life I want? Is that what it's really about? Or is it serving God? Think about it. Be generous. He certainly has been. God bless you, and may each day bring you closer in your walk with the Lord.